Our next guest, first-time visitor to Radio Entrepreneurs, but not first time to me. I would guess I've known Jeff Mead for probably over 20 years now.
That's for sure.
Long history.
Long
I knew
time.
Jeff when he was young.
When we were all young,
When
Jeff.
people told me I got this young guy in my firm, he's a real up-and-coming star. Now he's you're on the back end now, aren't you, Jeff?
I still feel young, but I'm on the back nine. Yeah, no
Jeffrey
question.
Mead, from a partner from the accounting firm of the Alexander Aronson and Finning. Hey, Jeff, thanks for being on Radio Entrepreneurs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Why don't you tell us about your practice?
Yeah, well, the firm AAF is about 170 people now. We're dispersed geographically in the Boston area, Wellesley, and Westboro. And my practice is commercial clients, privately owned clients, and with four distinct industries: professional service firms, so that would be architects, engineers, attorneys, and such. Manufacturing, yes, there is manufacturing in the Commonwealth.
And growing.
And growing. Publishing, a curious niche that I've developed. And technology, primarily software, high-tech, software as a service kind of companies, cloud computing companies, that type of thing.
What do you see as, the more challenging things? I mean, manufacturing in New England, people think it's pretty dead.
Right.
I assume it's really not.
It isn't, and I think that we're fortunate, Peter, to be in an area of great source of entrepreneurs with the educational center that we have here in Boston, in the Boston area. I think that I look at the sort of the national economy as the first gauge, and then I sort of observe what's going on in Massachusetts, and at least in terms of our client base. We've got a lot of people that are optimistic. I think that there's some apprehension in terms of Washington and the dysfunction of Washington from a political perspective. But I think that there's
how can you say that?
I know, hard to say. And so there's a degree of optimism, but with a fair degree of cautious, let's say cautious optimism in terms of businesses. I think entrepreneurs today are much more adverse to taking on risk than ever before, and would rather see the business develop first before spending the money and investing the money.
It's interesting when you talk about entrepreneurship, which of course is what this program is largely about. I don't see in my practice that the true entrepreneurs are more risk adverse. I see that they have more trouble raising money.
That's a good point. And I think, by definition, entrepreneurs are not that risk averse. Point taken. I think it is more from what are my sources of capital? And where am I going to get that from? Is it friends and family? Is it banks? Is it a PE firm? Is it a angel investor? Whatever the case may be. And you're right. It's curious, right? There's a lot of money out there. It's just hard to access.
I really feel the difference in the base of the economy when I just go from one city to another. There's a certain energy to Boston, especially Boston, and an excitement about doing things. But I agree with you where you started. But people here, they're not true risk takers. They're not out to sort of like win two, lose one. It's all very they're smart business people here.
Yes.
It's calculated,
yes.
And it's smart investing that they're doing.
That's entirely correct. I mean, there are what I'm learning, and which has always been the case. So there are a lot of sources for alternative. Or I should say alternative sources of financing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be banks. It doesn't necessarily have to be your angel investor. There's a lot of other entities out there that can take more risk. They charge you for it. But there are other sources out there. And I say that because we have a new client that's actually a toy manufacturer. And they need to access some financing, and it's out there. It just takes a little bit of creativity to get the interest.